those particular ones,
three
but.
people.
Good morning,
Good morning,
I'm Denny.
Jim Carter.
Tim, pleasure.
Can I ask you a question? Do you still use, is it Aspen tree service?
For the city, you mean?
Yeah.
Oof, that's a good question. I don't, keep track of the particular vendors depending on, cause if it's over a certain amount, like, yeah, I can't imagine it'll be over, we have to do something. Public Works would probably have that answer better, but we could find out before we're done here real quick.
Because,
I see the trucks around a lot.
yeah, I know, and they came through one year and absolutely did such an incredibly bad job. They
Oh,
actually
really?
hacked my lilac hedge.
Along Watertown?
Yeah, to bits, and, it's finally recovering, but it was such an unprofessional job, I was astounded that.
And what were they hacking for? Because of the power lines? or-
I know, it may have been View, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, that's odd, yeah, because normally they would
Because it
be
was
power
down
lines or
low,
something.
yeah, usually it's power lines, and, you know, and they're up low.
Right.
This was down low, and it literally looked as though a giant had come along, you know, like when they see the dinosaur movies and they.
Oh,
twist-
right, yeah.
twist the-
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
No.
Yeah, well, that would be, well, we could, before we leave, we can walk over to Public Works and,
Yeah.
or actually our city administrator's Public Works is really far away, but we're gonna ask Public.
It's even gonna be further away.
Right, yeah, right.
What's going in the, existing public works building, what's gonna happen there?
Well, we don't have an absolute at this point, but I guess there'd be kind of two basic answers to that. One would be, we're planning, we're getting the architect bids to re-engage to kind of redesign the inside, because we already have, the structure for the, Orono Fire Department. If we can't, get anything worked out with Long Lake, we need a place, and that would be the place. If we do get something worked out with Long Lake or Station 1, which we both own 50% of, we work out some use arrangement that Orono Fire can be over there, then we would engage the Parks Commission to look at all the different possibilities we could do for the Public Works facility. And that could be a community center, it could be indoor pickleball courts, I mean, there's lots of different things, but we would go through the whole process of figuring out what we want to do with that. There's a lot of community needs that we don't have, like in Orono. Like, for example, like the rowing team has no place to work, so they go over to the fire department in the conference room area, and they lay out their machines and do that. Over at the school, as an example, they've got, they don't have I don't wanna call it a theater area, but if you go there for music stuff, like if you go over to West Tonka, they've got this huge amphitheater that they've got inside for being able to do shows and music. They have nothing like that over here. You could convert it into something like that. With getting private dollars donated and the school coming up. So there's no, I don't think there's any silver bullet. That would be its own process of going through if we do get some work with the fire, but if.
So how long is the RFP been out?
We should have, well, it actually wasn't an RFP because we already chose the architect when we redid the Public Works facility. And it was also for a basic redesign of the Public Works. So we're re-engaging them to get their updated quote to finalize, to move forward on finalizing what we can do inside of the space.
Who was that?
I can't remember the name of the architect, but it's the same one that Public Works, and they did an original design already on the Public Works building of what a fire department could look like, and what it could look like if it was a community center with pickleball courts inside. Not that that's the silver bullet or anything.
I really like to know who that is.
Let me see if I can.
That major, you don't know.
Well, I have a business, I got hundreds of vendors in my own business, and it's not a name that sticks out to me that.
This is an architect of the biggest public project here.
Yeah, but it's just an architect.
Excuse me?
It's just an architect.
So am I.
So-
Don't use that term.
Why-
As a builder, a realtor, don't ever use that term. Just an architect.
Okay. My dad was an architect too. which I didn't realize at the time that architects specialize in just doing that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that
Well,
was
it's
such a
very
special.
specific, I mean, it's,
It is very special.
it's
I
very
obviously come to know
specific.
more, because my dad was, they did obviously
Yeah, he was.
gazillions of stuff, and, but they were getting very specialized when they started doing Indian casinos and that kind of stuff, where they had specific knowledge of different stuff, and
probably been out.
I was just a purveyor of architectural services, so I didn't follow the architecture route, so. I'm sorry, I forgot your name again, sir?
Jim.
Jim. Well, welcome, it's 9 o'clock, so we can kinda begin. If anybody's got any specific questions or topics they'd like to talk about, we can always do those first. You have anything?
I just came to see the fireworks.
Well, hopefully there's none of those.
Well, I must say, we have friends from Minneapolis, and they, are getting quite a kick out of what's going on out here, which is why I'm here, because she said, what the heck is going on in Orono? And I said, let's go find out.
We just, built a new home right on the very edge next to Long Lake, little development called Willow Bay, right,
About which page?
just off of Brown Road, Willow
Okay.
Bay, it's called, right next to, Warren. I can't forget his last name either,
But
but
that-
just off of Brown Road, just off the intersection of Wesett and Market.
Okay, yeah, no, that's still Orono.
It is, we're right on the very edge.
Okay, yeah, as I said, it's right on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had lived out on the river and moved over here, so it's all new to us, so I'm in the same boat, I just read all this confusion or,
There's no confusion on the council level, there's more confusion in the audience. There's really.
So you blame everybody? Really?
it's
Well, there's certain people that I really won't communicate with or have dialogue with, because it doesn't go anywhere.
I got a question for you. You asked the questions. You stated at the last meeting that you sat with City Administrator Adam Edwards and worked with him to accomplish a goal. And from what I understand, that violates city ordinance, that council members and mayor cannot direct city staff and you have to do it all together. So can you please comment on your violating the city ordinance?
Yeah, with anybody who's got lawsuits against the city, I'm not really gonna have communications with according to my attorney, so I'm just not gonna have.
Your attorney that we are all paying for. We're
Like I
paying
said,
for your private
This
legal
is
fees.
the way it goes, it becomes just a monologue with.
Just answer
with
my
other
question.
people, and
Just answer my
I'm not
question.
gonna communicate with people who have lawsuits, that's
Just-
just
It's
a
not-
standard.
It-
standard
it-
lawsuit.
It's got nothing, first of all,
Lawsuit, there's 3 of them in here.
first of all, I'm a resident of Orono longer than you. I deserve the respect of having my questions answered in an open forum. You asked for
I've
questions.
already answered that.
Excuse me? You were
You
talking
can
about,
hear me.
excuse me? You were talking about me monologuing. Can I please finish my comment?
You can finish your monologue, sure.
It's not a monologue, it's a question.
He's just.
It's a direct question related to your behavior violating a city ordinance. Can you please comment on violating the city ordinance when you admitted up on the stand last council meeting that you solely directed city staff when the ordinance is there to prevent that from happening?
Everybody has their own opinions of things, that's for sure, and they like to skew them, but I'm not gonna talk to anybody who's got lawsuits.
That's not
We
an
can continue
opinion.
that, and we can end this thing if we want to, but otherwise I'd be glad to
I
talk to
don't
you.
have a lawsuit,
Right.
and I'm very curious, because it's to this gentleman's question, and to several other things that seem to happen in this community, that I spent a good number of years on the planning commission, so I've watched this community work over the years, long before you came here. And, we used to have a very cooperative, open city government. And now it seems as though it's being run, as though it were, I'm gonna use the word fiefdom.
What's your
And-
question?
And my question to you
That's a
is,
statement.
when are you going to start running this town as those of us who have been here for many, many years are accustomed to, which is open and honest, and a place where the mayor doesn't pay for other council people's election activities, where the mayor doesn't plaster his picture everywhere he can, where the mayor doesn't put himself in the community newspaper as though it were his private advertising. When are we gonna get back to that? Are we ever?
Well, I will tell you, I take offense to a couple of those statements of honesty, etc. We are the most open council that this city has actually ever had. The council before I was on this refused to approve everything being on video. We have all of our Parks Commission, Planning Commission, we brought the transparency to everything. We brought it to the city staff of putting everything online and digitizing everything. That you can get everything. There's no more kissing the ring and doing favors for people. It's all in the open. We've done everything across the board, consistency for everybody, and that's why all the crazy lawsuits that are brought against it have all been thrown out over time, multiple times with multiple people. So I take issue with your question about actually openness, because we are the most open that there has ever been in this city.
Well, being recorded and being open are two very different things.
I guess we can argue about that opinion all day long, but there used to be mayors, and we can go back to Jim White, who said, if you wanna know what's going on, you have to come here, because we're not gonna put it on video. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You can now sit at home and look at all of our stuff.
Because
That
that's
is as open
safer
as
for
it
you.
gets.
Because that's safer for you.
No, it's
Because
not.
if people sit at home, then they're not here to object to what you do.
Also, no good deed goes unpunished by making it so you can watch it online, that it makes it safer for us, and you think that's the reason why we've done that?
I didn't say that's the reason you did it,
Well,
but I would say that an
you
added
can-
benefit to you is that you don't have people here. We had participatory government before, and it seems to me that we're getting further and further away from that.
Okay, so define that, okay, now, show me an example
People
that,
would come to meetings,
we have people
and
come to
they're-
meetings all
and
the time.
but you seem to shut them down rather.
How do I shut them down?
Well, we're not gonna talk to you.
Well, when
Just
you have,
like you shut this
when
gentleman
you
down.
have lawsuits, then obviously you must be friendly with these people that are there.
I have never
no
met
idea
this
what any
woman
of these
before
people
in my
are.
life.
I have never seen any of these four gentlemen, nor this woman, in my entire life. I have no idea who they are.
When you come in with preconceived notions and make statements about my honesty, my
I
integrity,
did this, okay? This is what brought me here.
yeah,
That's
and
what-
those have always been going out.
I know they've always been out, complete with your picture, by the way. Most mayors before you were a little more humble than that.
Well, the staff kind of has done all that.
Well,
They-
you know
they-
what,
they're
the
ones that
staff
get
seems to do
organized.
what you did, but,
That's what I mean, there is obviously an agenda of what you're talking about, and that
yeah,
seems
I
very
did
clear to
and
me.
I came here because I think that things need to be, when someone from another city says to you, what the heck is going on in your community?
And I keep
And I
telling
haven't
people,
been able to be
there's,
here because I've been taking care of my mother in Florida,
I keep
okay?
telling
So
people,
I've heard
there's no
all these
dysfunction
things.
on the council, there's dysfunction in the audience.
Well, there's no dysfunction
All
in
the
the council
time,
because
when
then
it
you
gets to a
can't
certain
pick
part of
them
it.
all. You can't pick the council. Of course, there's no dysfunction in the council.
Actually, no, the voters actually pick the councils.
With
Yeah,
I
and
Well,
I
I
take
help
issue
you.
with me handpicking
with
the
a
council.
heck of a lot of help.
in last election, the voters chose Alyssa Benson, who you guys continually denigrate up there and treat like crap.
Well, you had one of them quit.
No, she
And
had-
that's for
she
this
had-
whole business about the fire department.
She did resign, because she had work, family issues, she had a lot of stuff going on, and I think I put that in the newsletter last time as well. She did a great job, she's had 6 years, and she had family issues and work issues that came first. So I found a very great person to put in her place, that's longtime Orono resident, she's gonna do a great job, very independent.
Although the one person who was not here to be interviewed in the public forum.
Yeah.
She was the only person
But she
who in
was
fact was
interviewed.
interviewed only on the phone by the council, not in front of the
And what's
public.
wrong with that?
Everything is wrong with that.
Okay, well,
Because
see,
it's public, it's a public office, okay? For which people were to be interviewed, if she wanted the job that badly, she could have been here.
well, we can argue about,
Well, it's
What your
another
opinion is.
example, that's a good example
that's an
of how
example
you run
from
things.
your opinion.
It's called optics.
That's
It's
your
from the
opinion.
public's opinion.
We've been, again, more open and transparent than any council in the history of the
Said
world.
you.
Then-
Said
You're like
you.
you're
Did you send me those
believes
videos?
you.
Answer that, yes or no? Did you
Again,
send me those videos?
I'm not talking to
for
you.
the fishing bot?
Are you just gonna be here
Did
to
you
be angry?
email me
Are you
yesterday
just
or
gonna-
did you not?
Are you gonna be angry today and just yell?
You're the angry one, you
I'm
can
not
see
yelling.
it, we can see it in your demeanor.
Hi Dennis, how are you?
You're exposing
Good to see
yourself.
you.
Pretty good for an older guy with a pacemaker.
I did not know you had a pacemaker.
Oh, why did you come here to cause any trouble? Because I don't need to have my heart rate raised. Pacemaker takes care of that for me.
Well, anything you've come here with, I know, we've spent the last 10 minutes with this,
Well, can you answer one of the
That's
questions?
not fair either. You've not spent the last 10 minutes with me. This gentleman has spoken, that gentleman spoke, this gentleman spoke. You have a really, really bad habit
of what?
of trying very hard to control the situation by talking the loudest, by being disrespectful, and by running what is, in my opinion, one of the worst governments the city has seen in a while.
Well, I disagree. I think it's probably the best government the city has ever had.
Of course you do.
We never had lawsuits. We didn't have lawsuits.
7
like-
open lawsuits,
Oh,
7 of
and
them.
they're all gonna get wiped out because they're all.
Because you're the judge, jury, and executioner.
And by the way, my wife won her motion to dismiss, she's gonna win this lawsuit, okay? She already overcame your hurdle, for you to sit up there and say they're all gonna be wiped out,
They
it's
are
so
gonna get wiped out.
disingenuous, it's ridiculous.
Flipper, we have
Malicious
lawsuits all the
prosecution.
time, and it's,
You all
We
criminal.
never had any kind of, we didn't have lawsuits.
or you mean,
And
these
regardless
lawsuits
of
started,
that,
these lawsuits started before me, before I was even on the.
No, they didn't.
From
No, they didn't.
that gentleman. right
No,
there.
no, my lawsuit against,
You're
my
crazy.
lawsuit
You
against
guys
the city
going back
started
and
just
processing
recently.
stuff here.
My
Dennis,
current,
that.
my
So-
current
so do you have
lawsuit
any
started in
questions?
March.
And I'm not gonna talk to these guys at all.
well, I wanna know why it is that we ever got on this trail. I mean, I've read in here one side of the story about the Long Lake Fire Department. And as I said, I've not been in town as much as I normally would be, because I have to take care of my mom. But, the business of this, all of a sudden, we have to have our own fire department, where in fact we are now, as I understand it, paying for a fire chief and a truck, and we don't have a department.
Is there a question here? I mean, if you
Yeah,
have a
I wanna
question,
know how it
you're
is we
making
got down
statements.
this road on the fire station without there being any kind of public
No
vote. It's a pretty major undertaking at a time when most fire departments are crying for firefighters. Why are we trying to make a whole new department?
Well, I've told this to many people many times, this is not gonna be any new information if you've been around, which sounds like you have, that we've been having these discussions for 3 years. In the council, we've had these discussions.
In
So it's
the
nothing-
council.
In the
There's-
council, we've had
there's-
these discussions.
There's the key right there.
And-
You've had them in the council.
Yeah, at the council meetings, yeah, at the council meetings, we've had them at the work sessions, this has been going on for 3+ years. The contract is ending, we feel it's in our best interest, because there's been lots of external
Who's
problems.
we?
The council, actually, when the contract ends, which it is ending, we're not ending it ourselves, it's just ending.
Actually,
It's always been renewed. over the years.
Actually,
There is
it's
no
not the
renewals
whole
in place
council.
anymore. There is no
You-
renewals, that is ending.
It's not the whole council, you
Yeah,
can't
there
say
is
it's the
no
whole
renewal
council.
options in place anymore.
It could have
You would
been.
have to, you'd have to.
You chose not to.
Okay, are you gonna,
That's the
interrupt me now, constantly?
As long as you do it.
Okay, well then we'll just skip over this, we're done.
We're done.
We're done.
What a
If
great
you think-
coffee.
If you think it's okay
Look,
to
look, look
interrupt
at
me
this coffee, you
constantly.
won't talk to 3 people.
Well, if you wanna interrupt me, I mean.
I'd like to
and
hear
you
the
think
rest
it's
of your
funny,
answer.
that's
Well,
fine.
keep talking. I'll be quiet.
The contract is ending, like I said, we feel it's in our best interest to bring it in-house. We pay for, I think 87%, we use about 72, which is just, that's not the reason, that's just a fact that's out there. We have much better staff, we have HR, we know how to budget, and we found out a lot of things in the last 18 months that are a little bit shocking of what has been going on over the Long Lake Fire Department and the budgeting from a council perspective and what they've held back. And they've admitted that they have underfunded it and not told us about it. And we only get a know of the information based on what they give us. But now that we have our own chief, because even if Long Lake said, let's keep everything the same, but you can run the fire department, we still have to have our own fire chief. We have to set up our own fire relief association, and we have to have our own fire department state number. All those things have to be done still, and that's what we are doing, and you can't do it without a fire chief. So those things are in place, moving forward. We've already got 2 firefighters that have already joined Orono as on-call fire department. We already have 2, and we haven't even had our open house yet, and that's, our first one is tonight. And we're not having any problem, we haven't had any problem with police, the same issue, because we do things right, we budget right, we're the top shelf in the community, we are fully funded, we are fully staffed on everything we do, because people know we do things right. And we're gonna do the same things here, and we're the ones who found out that call times, there's problems with call times. Long Lake has never known that. We dug through it, got the information, and figured it out. And so we're gonna, as we move forward, we're gonna solve that problem too, and use best practices as they should
We're
be.
gonna solve that problem if you're possibly proposing to put a fire station right here, less than a mile from the fire station, right there, that you say has been poor call times. How's that gonna fix it?
I don't understand.
The question is, if you've got a fire station
Well,
less than a mile
It's in
away,
there. If you
less
read
than a
that-
mile away, and you've got, and you're saying
Okay,
that one
do you
of
know-
the potential uses, may I finish? One of the potential uses for the existing public works department is to put a fire station there. How is that going to improve call times?
The call time problem, if you read the article, is in Navarre. It's not up here. There's no call time problems up here.
Why are we building a fire station in Navarre?
Well, because we need one. Well, we have one. We already have one, we own it.
Well, then how come that's not working?
Well, because Long Lake hasn't,
If that's what the
Long Lake-
problems are, excuse me, that's what the problems are. You said, we can do everything better. All your problems are where you have a fire station. Wanna explain that?
it's not where we have the fire station, it's because of the issues of daytime call times, which again, is in the
I know,
article.
I read that.
It's from 6 AM to 6 PM, Monday through Friday, and you solve that with duty crews, which is the model we came up with. They say, this is how you solve that, and then it'll solve all.
Duty
Why don't you do it now?
Long Lake is,
What is to keep you from doing that now in the Navarre station? We don't have to build a whole new fire department. All we have, if the problem is Navarre, why don't you solve Navarre's problem instead of trying to wipe out everything that's been around?
that is just one, that's just something that we found out. That's not the reason we're doing our fire department. I already told you,
You
and
made
it's
it.
in the article. It's ending, we're bringing our services in-house, because we,
Because you want to.
I think it's clear as a bell that it makes sense. Everybody I talk to says it makes sense. We do 85% of it, we are the fire department, but we have no control and no say.
You're talking to someone, you can now say, everyone but at least one woman I spoke to.
Okay, I found one
thinks it's a
person,
good
I
idea.
found one
I think there's
person.
another one sitting
Two-
across from me.
Two people,
Oh,
anybody
we found
else?
4 people.
Got
Oh
four,
my
all
God,
right.
yes, we
And if
found
you
4
had any
people.
if you were to actually hold a meeting where you listened to people who came on this topic specific, if you were to hold a special town meeting on the topic of a fire station, and people were to sign up, whether they thought it was a good idea or not, then I'd like to hear you make that statement.
Well, you know, they already made their decision, the citizens actually made their decision. There's 2 different points there. They already made their decision, they elected us to make the best decisions,
You
which we
ran
have
out of
done,
polls.
which we have done.
You cheated the person.
All over the
and
years
ran
of
out polls.
technology, with budgeting, with roads, with infrastructure, we've done it all for that, and we've made great decisions.
No.
And to this day, you wanna go to you should go to live in Long Lake, you'll pay twice as much in taxes.
Don't break
and
your arm, pat
half as
yourself
much.
on the back.
So we are the standard, the gold standard for budgeting for everything
We're
that is
the
going on.
laughing stock
We are,
of the county.
Well,
That's what
yes,
we
you
are,
are.
the laughing stock.
Yes, you know, they are all jealous of everything that we have.
Jealous. Envy and jealousy
We've
now.
done things, we've done the best budgeting you can do, we've done everything right, the
Mr.
police,
Trump, Mr.
everything.
Trump, is that what we should be calling
Well,
you?
you know, you can have your own opinion, and I'm telling you my opinion, and if you don't like it, that's okay. You know, we can agree to disagree, but I'm telling you the facts from my standpoint, which are indisputable. You go to Long Lake, you can spend twice as much on your taxes and get half as much. They don't have any money for roads, they don't have any for water and sewer infrastructure. We have all that in our budget. The auditors are amazed at everything we have in place
There's
and
no
that we have
reason for
done.
amazement.
It's amazing.
Long Lake is
We
this
have been
tiny
amazing.
little
And we
entity
will,
of rather inexpensive homes, surrounded by an enormous community with lots of very expensive homes, and that's why our tax rates are so different. Now, if you can't figure that out, then you don't belong as mayor or as a real estate agent.
well, I
Because
appreciate
you obviously don't think, you
throwing
don't know what either one of those is.
disparaging
Well, you started,
statements to me all
with
the
the
time.
architect.
No, I
You
said
started
that.
with the architect. Yeah, you did. Sorry. You started. But, you know, I'm really sorry, but I think.
You don't seem like
that
you're sorry. You have obviously very,
She's being respectful.
you have hardcore opinions that are obviously very anti-Denny. That is
You're
for sure.
interrupting
You
me.
have come in here with strict anti-Denny Walsh statements, and that's all you've made so far. So obviously, I know where you're coming from. We can agree to disagree, but I tell you, what we have done for Orono is amazing. They are such in place on everything we have done. It is amazing. We are we lead the standard on what you can do in this community.
And I came in there and
It is amazing.
I asked you two simple questions. Who does the tree work? And who's the architect for public works? You know the answer to either one of them.
Not
If
off the
you're
top of
so
my
on
head.
top of it and you're running such a wonderful government, why don't you know these very basic questions about how our town is run?
Well, I do know all the details, and I found them for you. Didn't take me long.
You had to look it up, you didn't know it.
I didn't want to give you the wrong answer. I want to make sure I had the exact, and the tree trimmer, we can have any tree trimmer we want, depending on what the public works is picking. They don't ask us who to pick. They pick them because unless it's over a certain dollar amount, they don't need our permission, so they just go do them. And that's the flexibility we've given staff here, is to go make decisions on a basis where they can do that kind of stuff and get stuff done.
Make decisions you agree with.
All right, Dennis, well, now we spent 25 minutes into it, I've still been talking to you, so I'm gonna give Dennis an opportunity to see if he's got something to bring here today.
Come with any kind of an agenda at all. I'm here to learn as much as I am to maybe share some helpful information, but there's so many different topics, and, you know, I communicate a lot on the line, and I have some skill sets to narrate and try to explain things, but a lot of people don't care that my narratives are quite lengthy, and I don't bother to write them like a letter to grandma or a poetic composition. I write things on the internet that are much more technical, because I think a lot of these questions and a lot of the answers to the questions are more technical than people give the mayor or our current government credit for. But, you know, I'm sitting in a room full of adversarials and people who've already determined as a group collectively, obviously from the agreements that you have, that
Excuse me?
that you don't.
I don't know this lady. We're not a collective
Can I
group.
just stop?
Yeah, please stop a second and let people talk
I
when
don't,
you're talking.
I don't know this guy either.
Yeah.
Well, don't interrupt
It's
them,
not
and
a
you'll get your
collective group.
chance.
He's the only person that didn't say anything, but everyone else here has an adversarial attitude, which is almost uniform. But what I'm trying to make a point of is, I talk to firefighters, I talk to educators, I talk to business leaders in the community all the time. And what you need to understand, which I don't think you have a grip on, is there's a whole contingent of people who actually voted for the current administration, who voted for the decision-making that I've seen change way more to the positive and the better, because I've lived here 30 years. I've been involved in city government either as a volunteer or a volunteer in the community for those 30 years that I've been here. And I know that you sat on the council, but I also remember a city council where I came to see an appeal on behalf of my neighbors for issues that were important not only to me personally, but I was here to speak for my neighbors who didn't have an ombudsman, who didn't have someone to speak for them. And I had to deal with a city council where there was a mayor and two city council members that we jokingly used to call the organ grinder and her two monkeys. Because there was no original thought among two of the city council members. They were entirely making decisions based on what the mayor had decided. I'm a seated planning commissioner with another, I'm in a second term, I have 2 more years left. And what's really exemplary about the group that's at the planning commission is the diversity of the backgrounds and the fact that we don't always agree. The city council that I see now is so superior to the city council that we had before that when Mayor Walsh, as a seated city council member, and Aaron Printa were the defenders of my neighborhood. They were the people that were really trying to listen to the voice of what the neighbors and the citizens needed. And the mayor and the other 2 city council members in lockstep were influenced by outside puppeteering, someone who wasn't really in city government, but was influential with the city council. And when Mayor Walsh and Aaron Printa became kind of our voice as the public, I saw in Mayor Walsh somebody that I would rather see sitting in the mayor's seat rather than the puppeteering that was going on with the current mayor. And so I will confess that I worked diligently for months to assist Mayor Walsh in becoming elected. And I can tell you that in comparison between that previous city government that we had and the way that the city government is run now economically, and as far as the decision-making and the impartial politics involved in it, it's so far superior to what we had before. That's why Mayor Walsh is still here. Because besides these voices that are in this room, there's a very large silent majority of people who do believe that the city government is doing the right thing, is heading in the right direction, and has the economy and the real good of the many over the good of the few in mind. And
It's
that's
supposed to
what
be everybody, not just one group or
you know,
another.
you're a
That's the
small
problem.
contingent, and you're not
Really?
even a resident.
You don't even know who I am. I had run-ins with Lily McMillan as well, and guess what? I didn't need to bring a suit against her or the city.
Well,
This man I
I
have.
didn't mention any names, and you know.
Well, I did, because we know who you're talking about. You don't have to.
No, is it okay if I respond to that for a second?
Been here 56, 7 years.
Brett, can I talk for a minute, please? I'm amazed, you know, you completely described what happened in the past. I was on the council, I saw it, and that's why I resigned. Because there was no sense even participating because it was run by just a few people. I completely agree, but I'm amazed that you don't understand that that's exactly what's going on here.
No, that's not true.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I let you talk.
But you're on the outside looking in, I'm on the inside looking out.
Okay, can I finish talking, please?
You want a minute?
So that's exactly what's been going on up here. This guy paid to get other people elected. I mean, don't you understand that they're beholden to him? He gave rights away to Matt Johnson, and he paid for his
That's
election.
bullshit.
No, it's not bullshit.
It's
It
bullshit.
happened. It happened.
No, it
It
did not
happened.
happen.
Yes, it did.
He-
Yes, how can you say it didn't happen?
Yeah.
Matt Johnson is subdividing, building the property now and getting a variance I couldn't get. Okay? I mean, it's hilarious that you would say that. Now, I do appreciate you admitting that you've been.
Officer of the Register of Statutes. What happened with Matt Johnson? What happened?
They gave
with-
rights away.
He did not.
What
He
was
did
it
not,
then?
Because by precedent, the adjoining property owner, when there is an abandonment of a right of way or a vacation, the precedent in the state law, I have a verse and chapter. If you wanna argue with me about it, Go and argue
That's not
with
the
me about
point.
it after.
No, I don't disagree with that, I don't disagree with that, but if the city hadn't abandoned the right of way, he wouldn't have it. It's that simple. So they gave that the rights away to Matt Johnson, he paid for his election, and yet you say that this is different. How can you not, it's no different than the Republicans doing one thing or the Democrats, it's the same thing either way.
This has nothing to do with politics.
This is all
No,
politics.
it's not politics.
This is all politics.
You like to make it
Would you
politics.
like anything to say while we're here?
I'm not.
I can give you the opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say, I'm trying to listen, but when there's too many people talking and interrupting each other, it's non-productive. I came because I'm new to the community. I'm reading about it, I'm trying to find out what's going on. This is not helpful to me, I found out nothing. People talking over the top and having separate conversations. There's issues. I'm trying to understand why there's so much acrimony. I haven't found that out. So for me to come here and try to learn, it's not been helpful. I can come to the council meetings, which I guess I'll need to be informed, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here to listen, but I can't listen when everybody's
Well,
talking.
I will offer that I'm always available. I put in my newsletter for coffee anytime. If you'd like to email me or text me, I'd be glad to get together with you. I do that with constituents all the time, every week. We get together and talk just about whatever the issues are and questions they have, so we can have a one-on-one and we don't have to get around to that kind of stuff. So offer that, because that's what I offer in my newsletter all the time.
I appreciate that.
You know, I'd say there was a lot to learn here today. First, you learn that the mayor won't talk to certain people no matter what the question. Second, you see he's completely aggressive to a nice lady who comes in with questions questioning his policies.
I didn't
He's
hear that.
defensive, excuse me, I'm talking.
I didn't hear
You
that.
weren't here.
He was extremely aggressive and defensive against a lady who simply came to find out for herself. I think there was a lot to learn by this meeting. So I appreciate your coming to learn, but I'm just trying to help you understand. I think you can
And
see
you'll
some of
get
the,
one side of it on
I think you can see some of the problem here today.
Yeah, I want
That's
Yeah,
we
right.
haven't got to you yet,
I have
so.
one comment, and I have a question for the mayor. Dennis and Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'd like to say that both of you have pointed to the table and said, everybody here is adversarial, okay? To this gentleman's point, I started coming to these breakfasts with the mayor back in January, February, I don't remember which month it was, maybe when they started. I have no agenda, had no ties with anybody, firefighting, public works, people that have previous issues with the city, nothing. And I've had kind of the same impression that, it's Jim, right?
Yes.
My apologies. That it kind of became this, I was attacked by the mayor at the first meeting, and now you both say everybody in this room is adversarial. I became defensive at that moment in time when I started questioning some things about the public works and then about the fire department. So please don't just throw me in and say, everybody here is adversarial and I've got a predetermined agenda, okay? I have never met any person in this room prior to coming to these meetings, and I've never spoken to any one of them outside of this public forum. Now I have a question for the mayor. We keep hearing, and I've asked this question, maybe not directly, I'm gonna try and ask one question directly so I can hopefully get an answer. I keep hearing criticism, we keep hearing criticism of how the Long Lake / Orono Fire Department has been run over the years. And how the things have been hidden and how the things haven't been done right and how from the lack of response times to the funding to the, there's a whole bunch of things that I'm not pulling out of the air. Yet, you chose to hire the person that was in charge of that department as our fire chief. My question is, what's gonna change if in fact, and I think you indirectly answered this before saying, well, he didn't have the power to do anything. What has changed in the political piece that I don't understand that he did or didn't have in Long Lake that he now does or doesn't have in Orono to run the department in a better, more efficient, more economical way that you feel is better than what we've had in the past? So my question is, what's gonna change from the person running the fire department now versus before? That's my question to you, Mr. Mayor. In your opinion.
In my humble opinion, of course. We hired him because, well, first of all, we had a lot of good candidates that came when we put out the RFP for coming to be our fire chief. We had he put his name in the hat towards the very end of the process. We had one really good candidate that we were ready to go with that was just top notch. We had a lot of top notch people. But we thought because of his insight and his knowledge of again, a little bit of a leg up, but he put his name in. We didn't go get him. He put his name in, that was up to him. Because he thought, and he said, that he thought the future of fire in this area is gonna run through Orono. And he says by coming here, he actually has a voice now. He didn't have a voice before. And we have obviously budgeting, we have HR, we have all the different things that he never had access to before. No one ever asked him to look into all the numbers and how things differentiate between station 1, station 2, and that's where we asked him to we got all the information from the Relief Association and Long Lake, so we could dig through all the numbers and ask him to do these things, which he wasn't asked to do before, that we found out that Long Lake did not know, is that the problems that we had with response times. And that's not a reason why we're doing it, that's just something we found out in the process that we're gonna continue to move forward. And because he says he actually has a voice now, and we give him that voice, that's what we do with staff, we expect them to tell us what's going on because they're the ones on the ground, right? And so that's where we've given him more voice to do all that kind of stuff, and he knows the lay of the land very well. So with all that kind of stuff, I think we'll have once when we bring those services in-house, we will be able to do a better job because of that with all those things in place. I don't know if that answers the full question, or if you have side questions on that as well, but.
Again, I guess if he was the leader, if in fact he wasn't given the power or the authority or the latitude to do what he thought was right or better over there, usually you want a leader in charge of something that's gonna do something because they see it, they wanna do it, not because they're being asked to do it. So now hang on, let me just finish. Now the fact that either previous or now that you're asking about response times and things, and now you're getting the answers, then I have to question a little bit about, and I'm not here to judge him because I knew nothing about him, I know nothing about him other than, I know nothing about him. Other than to say that if he was running a department there that was less than satisfactory, and now you think because of the flip of the switch, he's gonna be running a department here that's gonna be superior to everybody around us, starting from the ground up, boy, I have to say, I guess the jury's out yet on that.
Well, I guess I have confidence that we will do things better. It's not unlike when Mound canceled their entire police department, and now they contract all of their services with us. And there's much better response times, everybody's organized correctly, there's HR, and it's a better police service because of what we were able to do for Mound.
Once you're in
When they
Orono,
canceled
the
their
response
service.
times to the station
So
were
it's
about
gonna
20
be, so
minutes.
with the fire department, like I said, that's not the
Here
reason
and
why
there.
we did it, it's stuff we found out afterwards, subsequent to that he has a voice and to do all that kind of stuff, and we will. I'm not gonna sit here and badmouth Long Lake, I'm just saying that we're doing it because we have 87% of the contract. The fire
Stop
department
right
really
there,
is.
hold on. Please do me a favor, anytime you ever throw this out there, because I read the clip again this morning from Channel 5 from the 26th, okay? And I hear it from you repeatedly, I've heard it in this room several times. Quit saying, without prefacing it by saying that we also utilize 80% of the service, or 80,
Well, just
my
some
numbers are
perspective on the
82 to 90.
size of.
We got about a 10%, I realize it's a round number, and I told you this directly, and you could go back and tape. I've used a 10% swing. We got about a 10% swing in what we use versus what we pay for.
I'm not
Hang
even.
on, just let me finish that comment. And on a $1 million budget, I don't know if we're $1.2 million budget or a $900,000 budget, let's just use $1 million for round number. That's a $100,000 swing, okay? That we feel like we're overpaying for something that we're not getting. Now we're gonna spend 8 to 12 million, the number is, I don't think anybody knows.
Nobody knows.
The number to correct this $100,000, what we feel is
Well, that's,
not
I would say that's an incorrect statement.
okay.
We're not, because of what we found out of what we need to do, we are gonna have to spend money to make sure this fire department is equipped correctly, whether it's with Long Lake or it's not with Long Lake. So the dollars are gonna get spent budgeting correctly regardless. We're just gonna do it with us in control. It's not unlike what I told the Tribune reporter, the Channel 5, whoever called me, I can't remember anymore because they all seem to call me. I tell them, when somebody says, oh my God, you're gonna have to spend $10 million in roads over the next 10 years, I say, yeah, because we have $1 million in our budget every year. It may sound ominous, we say, God, you're gonna spend $10 million. Well, we have $1 million in our budget every year for roads.
No,
So I guess we will
that to
spend.
me is a whole
So,
different,
okay,
that's a whole
so,
different way
but
of
you know how
saying
much
it.
we have in the budget over 10 years right now? Even today with Long Lake, we have $9 million over the next 10 years. So to say we're gonna spend $10 million, it's like, well, that's what's in our budget right now.
Well, you're gonna spend 10 million in the next
if
2.5
you
to
spend-
3 years, but if that,
back to the
fire didn't say no.
Well, if that's what's required, we will have to spend that whether it's with Long Lake or not with Long Lake.
Not true.
We're choosing to
But
do
again,
it
this
with
whole
ourselves.
contentious
True.
breakup
So,
of
I'm
the,
just trying to clarify the comments. It's like water and sewer. We know we gotta do a mile of water and sewer.
you're diverting, let's just stick with fire.
But it's,
No,
but
it's
it's,
not,
it's
because
the
it's all
Yes, it is.
city
It is.
perspective.
It's all
With all
infrastructure.
due respect, it's diverting it. I asked a
I-
direct
I-
question
we
about
can-
We're in a
fire.
big city,
I'm
you
trying
have
to keep this-
infrastructure, the firefighting and the police enforcement and the city government is all infrastructure along the
Trust me,
sewer.
I understand all those aspects of government.
I do.
Don't sit here and demean me
I
that I
know
don't
our
understand.
city
Okay,
council
and-
But you don't- but
I'm trying to be specific to the
These
fire
aren't,
department.
these aren't silos, they're all together.
Well, we're
The
not
same
trying
thing
to
with
go out and
police.
start a new public works department for Long Lake. We're taking an existing fire department that represents us and we're,
And the only reason
trying
that
to
it
break
became
away.
contentious, as you
We're not
mentioned,
breaking
which it
away from
has,
anybody, we're
is
just
because
bringing our
the
services
Long
in-house.
Lake City
That's all we're
Council
doing.
and this Long Lake City government doesn't wanna give up the power and the control, the little bit of it that it's had. That's the most contentious.
because
point.
there was no negotiation that went on.
There was
Oh,
a
there's
lot
lots
of
of
negotiation, there were
negotiation.
hours and
You're
hours and
wrong on
hours
that.
of
Funny,
negotiation.
I'm a citizen of Orono, I've gone to 2 meetings up at Long Lake, and I felt more transparency, more openness there. It felt, again, it's a feeling, than I did any of the meetings I've ever been up to at this city hall, I can tell you that. And open and honestly, and I can go there and dig in the records and find out, if I chose to, as much as I can here.
But you didn't hear what I said. The contention is because the Long Lake governance does not want to relinquish power to the other entity. That's what's really caused the controversy.
They don't wanna lose all their firefighters.
That's your
and their
opinion, that's
chiefs.
my-
It's all Long
It's
Lake's
fair.
fault, right?
We can have that.
That's all you're saying, it's all Long Lake's fault. That's a ridiculous statement and it's insulting to the people.
They don't wanna
of
be
Long Lake.
molested by Orono, that's what it is.
No, it's not, what you're putting out
Chief
propaganda.
molester right here.
We are not, again, we are not taking Long Lake's Fire Department. Long Lake's Fire
You
Department has
took
been
the
there
fire
100 years ago. It was there before they were doing Orono's business. And remember, they've only done Orono's business in Navarre since 2007. They've only been doing the other stuff since 2000. And they actually took the business away from Maple Plain, Mound, and Excelsior before they got it. So those communities were mad, they lost the business. Now this contract is coming up, and we're just bringing it in-house. We haven't been with Long Lake for 100 years. They're still gonna have the Long Lake Fire Department, and if they wanna keep it, that's up to them. We're not taking their fire department. Will they need 30 on-call fire department people for the 40 calls that they have in Long Lake for a year? Well, of course not, because they're gonna lose 85% of the territory. So they only have so much territory, they'll have plenty of firefighters for their territory. But they don't need 35 to service 40 calls in Long Lake.
So
they
who's
will have-
of the territory?
So who's taking those? The other firefighters they don't need. And who took their fire chief?
Does that translate to 85?
And who tried to take their relief fund?
Well, that's
$2
funny
million
too. These are all
is gonna feel
actually
like a deal at the end of the
lies.
day.
Lies, lies, and lies. So let me talk about the Relief Association, first of all, because people don't understand the Relief Association. The Relief Association is run by the firefighters. They have all the pension dollars in the Relief Association. Long Lake doesn't control it, Orono doesn't control it, and actually, Long Lake has never given a dime to the pension in the Relief Association. It all comes from the state. It's state money managed by the firefighters, and the state is the one who controls it. When we went to the legislature, and Long Lake actually went with us, so they were invited and they came with us, we wanted to put language in that would give the firefighters the option to move their funds to a different relief association, because you have to have one if you have a fire department, to continue their vesting of their years of service. It was for them, it had nothing to do with us, because it's not our money, we don't control the money, it's not Long Lake's money, and Long Lake doesn't control the money. It's controlled by the firefighters, and it's all state money. It would just give them the opportunity, and even the firefighters said, we're not worried about that, so we can move on. When we wanna do it later, we're confident we can do that, cause the legislature has always approved those items over the decades, and it's not a problem. But no one is taking Long Lake's Relief Association money, because it's not Long Lake's to begin with. It's the Relief Association. They manage it. Long Lake has never put a dime into it. Orono has never put a dime into it. It all comes from the state. So that's not a complicated issue. We were just doing it for the firefighters, and they don't seem to think it's a problem, so we're okay with it too.
How many do you think are coming over?
Excuse me, what were you doing then, if it's state funded? The firefighters didn't care what happened. What were you doing? What were you trying to do? What were you accomplishing?
We were accomplishing to give the Long Lake firefighters in current legislation to have it done, to have them have the ability, if they wanted to, because they don't even have to. If they, when they come over to the Orono Fire Department, which we already have two,
They ain't coming.
and that they would then be able to bring their
They
funds
like their
over,
new chief
because when you move from fire department to fire department, if you move from, you have to start all over from a vesting standpoint. So we're trying to bring them the ability.
Hearts and minds.
Can you, can
Hearts
I
and
even
minds,
talk?
they like their new chief.
See, this is
They're
the
not
problem, Jim, they just,
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
guy's
I
not
never
even an
finished.
Orono resident.
Yeah, he should give me a chance to speak,
Jim.
and then we can hear
He's
what I
not
have
an
to
Orono
say.
resident. Orono residents.
I
were
own
invited
$2
to
million
come.
worth of property right down the road here in Orono. Don't give me that shit. You don't even know who I am.
But you're not a
I've
resident.
been here
You live
57
there.
years.
Please.
where this would have to move it over to the new company.
But, so what we were doing is spending, is taking time and resources for a problem that doesn't exist.
Oh, no, it still needs to get solved, but the firefighters aren't worried about it at this point. But it still would have to, you would still have to have the legislation.
So you're claiming a lot of credit for something that the constituents didn't care about, that could happen at another time, but you wanna claim credit for as being a wonderful thing. I would rather you spend your time and energy, and the time and energy of this city on dealing with real issues that are current than doing things like that. And that's, I think, a really good example of why there are people in this community who are very unhappy. And with all deference to you, sir, and I've been in this community since 79. Why, in fact, there are a lot of people who are becoming increasingly unhappy. We'd like to have real problems solved.
Well, let me tell you,
And
at
one of
the
those-
time, the firefighters wanted that.
Excuse me, may I finish?
Well, you're making a lot of statements and
I'm saying
indirect
a lot
questions,
of-
but making
no,
statements. I'm kind of losing
there was
track
a
of all your
question- there was a
statements at this
question.
point.
I'm sorry if you can't. I'm really sorry you can't keep up.
Your monologues.
Yeah, you can't keep up. That's-
We only have a population of about 8,000 people, and only a percentage of those are actual registered voters. Now, when you start talking about.
I'm a head election
when you-
judge in
when
that,
you-
and
well,
so
a
don't
lot of
talk to me
a
about
lot
people
of
voting,
A
okay?
lot of people have been voted election judges, it's a volunteer job.
That's
I'm very aware of it.
That's right.
But what I'm trying to say
You're
is
welcome.
that you shouldn't be speaking for the constituents.
Neither should
Be
you.
Speaking for yourself.
Neither should you, and neither should him.
He should be.
So you don't get to point a
he's the
finger at someone
mandate-
else and
he's
tell
the-
them they
he's the
can't.
mandate of the vote.
You shouldn't
There was no
be, you
mandate.
shouldn't be
You
speaking
ran
for
out of
anybody
rules.
else
I know
or
this is
yourself.
funny, but as your.
You're gonna
mom-
point the finger at her as a
Do
hypocrite.
you have a question?
Yeah, I would like to know, and I phrased it as a question when I started, why it is you spend time and effort doing things like we were just discussing, the fireman's relief, instead of solving real issues.
Okay, is that the question? Okay, well, first of all, the firefighters wanted it solved too. They weren't completely,
2 minutes ago you said they didn't.
this was an after the fact. I'm giving you the before the fact now, when you say, why you shouldn't have done that. Well, when there's issues, as a business person, you're always trying to solve the issues of knowing that need to get solved no matter what. A lot of the firefighters, that was a big issue for them, and so we took the time to get a hold of everybody and bring everybody together at the legislature to try and solve that issue. And in the end, the firefighters said, you know, I think we're comfortable enough at this point that we know that'll get taken care of. And some of the fires don't like what some of the other firefighters said, so they're not in all agreement about this. That they think that they're not gonna worry about that at this point, and they'll worry about it later, but it still has to get done. But we've already greased the wheels with everybody, the language and everything's already in place. So we've done a lot of the stuff that will need to be done already in the future, regardless. It has to get done still, but we already have the blocks in place.
Experience. And they also say you're not the only business person.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, you seem to imply that as a business owner.
Oh, yeah,
You do everything. I've been a business owner for many, many years.
And so then
And
you
I
should
have-
probably know as a business owner, you
don't
check
create
boxes, you get
problems.
things done and you check boxes and that's,
Yeah,
and that's what we're
You
doing.
don't start fires in your own living room,
Okay,
in your own warehouse.
any other questions for me? I know you had one question and I think we answered it. I don't know if you had any more, on the same topic or a different topic.
I'm here to listen and educate myself. I'm not here to be the constant adversarial I've been accused to be by both yourself and.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can continue to educate about all the great things we put in place, that when I got in, there was no roads budget. We have $1 million a year now. They used to hope that they would have some money if they needed to do roads. Now we don't have hope and pray, we actually have a budget. We had zero parks budget when I started, now we're $250,000 a year to actually maintain our parks, which were not being maintained when I got in the office. Water and sewer, they weren't even accounting for depreciation and useful life issues on water and sewer. We were gonna run out of money. We changed that to say we need to account for that, because if you've got 40 miles of pipe underground and there's a 40-year life, you need to plan a mile a year. You need to have that in your budget. That's what people do. So we've got all that now over the years, incrementally, everything is funded in our budget for that stuff. Nobody else does that around us. Like I said before, we've set the standard on how to do it. You can do it, you just have to prioritize. And that's what we have done. We've also brought technology in. There's not 30 file cabinets of paperwork anymore. If you wanna go look for stuff on people's properties, it's all digitized now for all the different properties, so you can find out quickly. And we did that because we brought together a great code review committee with builders and realtors and just people knowledgeable about the process to say, we need to do this. What can we do to vet all this stuff out and get it done correctly? It took a lot of time because we put a system in place and then get it vetted and get all the pieces put together little by little. And now it's operational and working great. Everything's online. So technology has been a great useful thing. Now, we also have a 3D technology model that we did with all of Orono that shows all the roads in a 3D model, water, sewer, roads, etc. And you can click on any portion at any time and find out how old that road is, how old the pipes are, if we did projects, who did them, how much it was, when it was done. It is amazing what we have brought in place with help from the staff and everything else on the tools that they need to do things correctly. We've put it all in place, and like I said, we are the standard of what you can do in the we have a AAA bond rating for a population under 10,000. We're one of like 20 or 25 cities in the entire United States with that bond rating. And they're still amazed at what we have on our budget on top of that. So we have done a great job getting on it. We plan for this. Our public works is a perfect example. We have a 30,000 square foot public works building over here. It was built 30 plus years ago, surrounded by swamps, nowhere to go, no expansion. And we've been out of room for a long time. Our community has grown. We do a lot of services for cities around us because they're smaller. And so we have all those capabilities now. So we built a facility that's 60,000 or 65 with another ability to add another 20,000 feet onto it in the future with all of our, and in the last few years, we also brought in-house our services of our maintenance of our plow trucks, our public works trucks, all that kind of stuff, where we were doing so much of outsourcing, fixing vehicles, and not getting all the times correctly, getting it back from a timely fashion, that we decided that we could bring that in-house, hire our own full-service mechanic and do all that stuff in-house. We can obviously always go out if we're overwhelmed or have too much to do, but so we were able to build that in our new facility, a whole maintenance facility within the facility to be able to do all this stuff. So we should be good into the 23rd century in terms of what we need from all of our public works and capabilities. We did it bonding at 1.9% because we knew interest rates are going up, so that's an amazing feat all by itself because we knew what was coming as business people. And we projected and knew exactly what we were doing, and the finance agreed and the city agreed, and we got it all in place. So it's amazing. I could go on and on and on all the
Please don't. Okay, I mean, thank you for answering a lot of questions we didn't ask there. But since you responded to me already on the Fireman Relief Fund, I'm assuming that you're talking to me now. So I would like to ask my question one more time. What is your response to the fact that you admitted that you personally directed city staff when it's against city ordinance?
Again, anybody with lawsuits, I'm not gonna answer.
You already responded to me once.
So if somebody else
You
wants to ask that
already
question,
responded to
I'd
me.
be glad to talk.
I did, and you didn't answer.
Well, you've asked a lot of questions and some things that,
I asked the question just after you refused to answer that,
oh,
gentleman.
what question?
And you
I
didn't
don't,
answer, and you didn't answer me either.
I guess I don't recall you asking any of that question at all. Okay, what is the question? Okay, sure.
The question is, how do you justify meeting by yourself with a public works director and, quote, getting things sorted out when that's in violation of the law?
I don't understand what's in violation of any law, and I'm not familiar with exactly what meeting you're referring to. I can meet with anybody.
Meeting that you,
You admitted it during the last city council
for the
meeting.
open meeting law?
Yeah, absolutely, and I can meet with, the open meeting law relates to 3 council members getting together. Me meeting with the public works director, or the finance director, or the police chief, or the fire chief, I can come and meet with them anytime.
No,
No, it does not.
That's what you do.
I can meet with them at any time.
Actually, no, you can't. You cannot. There's a statute in Orono that says city council and mayor cannot direct city staff alone. It has to be done as a group. And that was enacted years and years ago when a single person was doing it.
So I can respond to you that again, I can meet with anybody at the city, as can any council member.
And not
There is
direct,
no
but you can't direct
restriction.
them. You admitted that you directed them. You admitted it up there and you said
And I
you
don't
worked with them
recall-
to get something accomplished.
I don't recall any,
You
I
admitted.
do not recall the conversation of what is being referred to here, so.
You admitted last meeting, when you were talking during one of the items, that you sat down with the person and you worked out the details of certain things. That is strictly against Orono statute.
You know, when I can meet
Well, hold on,
with
the
the, I
statutes
can
don't
meet
apply to you, do
with,
they?
I can meet with,
You can clear cut a bluff illegally
I can
and get
meet
that
with-
thrown out. The statutes just
exhausting
don't apply
when
to
you
you.
constantly talk. But I can meet again with any city staff. I
You
can,
can't direct them. You can't direct them,
Tell-
and that's what you admitted you did.
I can work with city staff
I've
to
got it
come
on
up with anything.
Orono's got it on tape.
I can come up with any city staff on any time. There's no rule against working with city staff on coming up with ordinances or anything else.
Yes, there is.
And then,
Yes, there is. There's
that
a
again
statute.
has to get presented to
Yes,
the
there is.
council, because I
Yes,
cannot
there
make a
is.
vote, I cannot vote.
No, there is. There is a Orono
Jim,
ordinance
you
preventing
can
you
see how
from
this-
doing it.
Let's do us all a
Constantly
favor,
works.
next time you have something like that to quote, where you're quoting verse and chapter, bring it with you. At least when I come prepared.
I
with
don't
verse
have
and
to. They
chapter.
tried to use it against me when I was on the council. I know it
Let's
exists.
talk about you.
Somebody
Let's
asked,
talk about the
hey,
good,
Dennis.
the people, and doing the people's business.
Let's talk about the hypocrite over here who wants to tell other people how to speak.
okay, well,
Let's
it's
talk
10
for-
o'clock and
let's
I
talk
do
for-
have to go.
Can I say something for Jim's
You guys can
benefit?
stay here, you guys, there's
I'd
nothing
like- I'd like to
that
say
says you guys
something for
gotta do,
Jim's
but I do
benefit.
have to go.
Agenda, voice of moderation.
What about
When
real?
the
Thank
mayor
you all for coming,
summarized
I
the
appreciate